and you're obviously not going to use something that's registered to you. So unless you plan on committing suicide, leaving the murder weapon is probably going to be a really stupid idea. I mean, you can leave a note, but to haul the gun off the roof just to leave it in the woods doesn't seem to make any sense to me whatsoever. But we don't really have a ton of information. I mean, they're saying that there's DNA on the screwdriver and on the towel, but they didn't say there's any DNA evidence on the gun. I mean, how hard would it be to find a towel on a screwdriver that a guy has touched, right? So that seems really weird. I don't know. A lot of things don't add up, but we also don't have a ton of information right now. I find it very suspicious that BB immediately came out and started tweeting about this, minutes after, and kind of. I mean, according to Candace, he misrepresented what their last conversation was as well. So, and obviously, anything that he says, I don't believe. Um, and yeah, that's my thoughts in a nutshell.
What, Dan, one question I've got for you is one of the conversations we've been having on the spaces, and I think you'll have a better understanding of this, is that the gunshot wound, the argument is that a gunshot using that specific gun from that range wouldn't have such a small entry or exit. It should be a lot larger. Is that the way you see it or not?
Well, I mean, I would think if that was the exit wound. I mean, I don't know. The neck is really soft skin, so my issues with the weapon was the scope was mounted in such a way that you need a certain eye relief when you're looking through a sniper rifle. Anybody that's a shooter would know that. And so that scope was mounted so far back that it wouldn't give you sufficient eye relief. I mean, it's a 200-yard shot. I mean, a kid could make a 200-yard shot. So, but that being said, I don't know. And also, that's not a gun that you can disassemble. There's just like so many holes in this. You can't. You can't disassemble that gun. If you did, it would be a whole long process that nobody's going to do just to reassemble it to leave it in the woods. You know what I mean? Like it just like the story makes no sense. But as far as the wound being congruent with a 308 or a 30-06, 7.62 by 51 caliber rifle, it seems appropriate. I mean, there was a lot of blood that came out. But I don't know that it matters if that was an exit or an entry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but ballistics experts could, tell you that. We just aren't given much information, and we haven't seen any of the police body cam footage, so it's kind of hard to say. But the evidence that they have presented doesn't line up.
What's your we also have seen like a number of other information that is kind of questionable. One is the fact that Cash claims that the shooter left a note, and now we don't have access to that note.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like what like you're gonna leave a note and a gun, and you're gonna engrave bullets. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Was the gun registered to him? You know what I mean? Like, where's the gun from? How did he get this gun? I mean, I don't know. We just don't have enough information.
Allegedly, the gun was left in the woods for him by somebody in this kind of Discord group that they were speaking through.
But who's it registered to, right? Like, I mean, you can track a gun. Like when you buy a gun, there's a background check, there's a whole thing. So, somebody's not going to legally purchase a gun and leave it in the woods for somebody to commit murder with, right? So, and then, like I said, if you're going to get a gun illegally, now that's a whole nother crime that you have to commit. I mean, you have to steal a gun. That person is going to report it. You know what I mean? There's going to be a whole crime scene there. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have enough information, but what I'm hearing doesn't make a lot of sense.
Ryan, do you know
Can I
anything
ask
about
Dan
that?
a question?
Ryan, do you know anything about that in terms of the gun?
Well, I have some answers and a question. Like, why is everyone saying reassembled the gun and left it in the woods? How do you know it wasn't left disassembled in the woods?
Well, they have a video of him jumping off the roof, and he doesn't have the gun on his person, I don't believe.
Yeah,
so
it's disassembled like in his backpack, but when he left it in the woods in a towel, it could have been left in the towel disassembled. He didn't have to reassemble it in the woods.
It's because one of the pictures they put out, the gun was assembled.
Yeah, but they might have done that.
So what they did was they took a gun that was disassembled and just reassembled it themselves, and then put a picture out.
Yeah, look, here's what the gun would look like. That's why I'm asking. Like, they should show body cam footage of how did you find the gun? Did you find it disassembled in the woods, or did you find it assembled in the woods? Because if it's assembled, there's no reason for that. As for why you wouldn't just leave it on the roof, I mean, that would be the smartest thing. Just sacrifice the gun. But this moron might have been planning to use it again and putting it in a drop-off spot, the same place he picked it up. Who knows?
Also, then there's the whole plane that turned off its transponder. You know, that also seems very strange. That doesn't just happen accidentally.
Also, Dan, Ryan's got some extra information. Ryan, is there any information that you've acquired recently or that you're
Yeah.
able to divulge?
So I don't understand why people are saying this guy they wiped his social media. He had social media. It was
But
Crafton
me and you discussed this,
247.
right? It does seem like, for example, he didn't have a Twitter, he didn't have a
Yeah, he
TikTok, he
did.
didn't have an Instagram, he didn't have a
Yeah, he did.
Facebook. Like, it was weird, right? Me and you discussed this.
He had all that stuff. Like, and so did his boyfriends, plural. One was a game addicted, and the other was a free red rooster or something like that. He did art for cubs. Apparently, cubs are like baby animals, pedophile, furry crap, whatever. They were chronically online, and they had a bunch of forums on like gaming sites and stuff. Destiny 2 is something, World of Warcraft. I wrote them down. I'm not familiar with the games, but it's all in their crap. They had threads, which is like some offshoot of Instagram. I'm banned on all these things, but my people found them. And Lance Twigs, Lancelot, he's all over the place. And there's a whole cadre of these people saying, big things going to happen to Charlie Kirk tomorrow, and leaving this on their social media. They started wiping it themselves, but these people are so chronically online they couldn't get it all. Reminds me of the Pennsylvania shooter who left messages on Gab that they forgot to wipe.
But Ryan, you're saying he had a Twitter?
He did. Crafton 247. They had Instagram, they had threads, they had a bunch of gaming things, and they were all over Discord. And they have screenshots of the Discord.
So what happened to his Twitter?
This is according to Washington Post, which is CIA outfit, so whatever, take it with a grain of salt. But he basically admitted it to his fam, which is his a little internet cult, that he had killed him.
But what happened to his X and TikTok and the main social medias?
X seems to have disappeared for all these fuckers. I don't know if they wiped it themselves or ex-employees did that or what, but that's been wiped. They're going through,
because if you know the handle, you know the difference, right? If they wipe it themselves, it says something's gone wrong. If the X wipes it, it's just not there anymore.
Well, it says it. What's worse is some of them, the same handles have been taken by other people. Like that, once the name was available. Like, for example, the one I put it's on my Twitter. It's like one of them was saying, I wish somebody would dissolve Charlie Kirk, and then he replies to himself a little later saying, like, he's coming to my campus. It's going to be a really big day. You wait, or whatever, and little ooh-woos and stuff. And then that account where I was taking screenshots of it and stuff, I go back to it. There's only 3 posts, no followers, no following, and in all caps, like, I am not the user that was here. I just preserved this name, something like. Is that even possible? Can you wipe your name and somebody else grabs the same handle?
Yeah. So if X bans you completely or you completely cancel your account, I'm sure there's a time period though before your account is released to the public again.
That's what that's what I'd like to know. Well, how long is that time period? Because this guy, like, we had his stuff right away, and about 3 hours after Kirk was dead, but of course not everybody knew he was dead as fast as Dan and I knew he was dead, but it was gone and switched out. That was one of the accounts. Most of these people are in subreddits and, like, where all the degenerates go. Gaming platforms, subreddit, threads, the super hard left, like, in Discord. That's for most of it.
And Ryan, one more question before I ask Dan a question. In terms of their position, I don't know if you wanted to talk about this or you want to release a letter, but what was their other positions that what me and you spoke about? Do you want to release? Are you going to release that later or?
when I have all of it before they wipe it, then I will tell what's going on there because
Cool.
I don't want them to get rid of it. So I
No
don't want to
problem.
say where it is what I found. I'm gonna wait till we've gathered it all,
No
screenshot it
problem.
all.
No problem.